You wanted to shoot shit this
Yeah, man, shoot shit for a little second. Give us a little extra.
No, this is gonna be a full
content.
episode. This is gonna be a full episode. You know why?
Why?
Because I got a story to tell you. Because I know you're gonna relate, and this is for mainly the dad.
Well, if it's gonna be a full episode, then we're gonna have to actually.
We're
gonna have to actually do the opening and say, welcome to Dad Influence, everybody.
Yeah, fuck
I'm
them.
Badger. This is Juju.
Man, fuck them. They know where they are.
I mean, yeah, they did click on it, but still.
But no, this is also a podcast for dads too. Dads go through some shit. Dads work. Got to deal with these hellion kids too. I ain't talking about their own kids. I'm talking about the grown kids they have to deal with at work. This
I feel that in more ways than one. I can give some talks about that one too.
Exactly. This is why it's gonna be a full episode.
I called my he used to be my head supervisor, and then the owner took him out of charge of me because I was ready to leave. But the guy, I called him I said I was sick of dealing with his 16-year-old childish bullshit, and he said, basically, will you want to fight about it?
I did on
I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, I'm sick of you acting like a child. Well, then let's fight like children.
I can't say I'm above that. I threatened to beat the shit out of my boss one time.
I'm not saying anything about that. It's just that, I guess maybe this is more of one of those things that changed as I got, older and I had a kid and everything. Because, I used to be a lot more violent. But, now I got this kid and I'm like, I can't be going to jail.
Yeah.
I can't be, getting into a fight and getting hurt to where I can't work. I can't, there's more downsides to getting into a fight as I've gotten older and now that I have more responsibility.
Yeah.
So it's it's one of those things. Not saying I'm scared to get in a fight per se, but I'm not just gonna fight somebody for no damn reason.
Oh, no.
Especially not for some little shitty ass job.
Yeah. Yeah. So I see where you're coming from. I'm on the same boat, but I'm ready to throw it down.
What happened?
I'm still ready to throw it down. Well, so I'm a welder, right? Well, welder, modder, metal fabricator now.
Right.
Even though they say welder, we do everything in there. We also paint. We have to paint these door frames, right? So there's a small spot in the crease because it has to be a seamless door frame. So there's a little small, where the corner is and stuff behind there. There's a well, right? And it's galvanized steel with paint on it still. If you don't know anything about that, that's basically it's gonna have all this white powder on the weld, right? So I'm not gonna say I'm above it, but there's sometimes I just don't paint it. I just forget to paint it. You're supposed to, but I forget to paint it, right? You're supposed to brush it down, then paint it and all that. I just didn't. I just don't sometimes. So, but it's not a big deal. We just go back over there and just fix the problem, right? So one time, one of the frames got out, and it went to a customer. Now, my personal opinion, the person who installs the door frames, they can kind of do the painting too. They can kind of fix that problem right then and there. But they don't. They just send it back and complain about it. You know what I mean? So we got the complaint. We got the quality issue. And the quality guy just came to us, talked to us, and was like, hey, you gotta make sure this goes out painted, right? And we were like, oh man, sucks, sorry, we'll fix the problem, right? So everyone else is pretty chill about it. But one co-worker threw all hell, threw a whole hissy fit about it, right? But here's the thing about him. He doesn't throw loud hissy fits. He's a little punk B. You know what I mean? He wants to do it all quiet and stuff. He wants to like throw like those quiet temper tantrums and stuff, and then snitch about it behind everyone's backs. So he was trying to blame everyone in there, saying, "Oh, I had to fix all y'all's problems and stuff. I'm the only one who does work in here for real." And like that day, I was like, you know what? I need to go outside and smoke a cigarette because he does like any small thing he just complains about, right? But what makes it worse, he's very selective of who he complains to. Like we had this one guy we work with. Oh, he will go up to him and cuss him out and get in his face and everything, right? But when it comes to someone who won't allow that, who won't let that happen, he's quiet. Like that's why he hasn't said anything to me. He's like this 5'5" guy, built like a whole stick, and he just gives me dirty looks. And I look back at him, he just walks away. I'm like that's the person I don't like, bro. Like if you're gonna bark at someone and someone else does the same thing, you're not gonna do anything about that just because over a physical thing or something like that. You lost respect for him, all right? And then come to find out he's been in jail too, right? Most of his life he's been in jail, been in prison, right? So someone tried to come up to me saying, "Oh, he's institutionalized. He has that mindset." You know what I mean? I'm like, so he was the bitch in prison, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it sounds like.
Because like for real, that's what it really sounds like. He cowers away. He cries about everything. He actually every time this one dude goes outside to smoke a cigarette, he falls right behind him too. I'm like, bro, he was holding pockets in prison, man.
Hold my pocket.
But no, man, it's just, I don't understand this motherfucker, bro. Like it's a chill job. Like we never have a complaint about that. Well, when someone doesn't show up or take a long break, yeah, but we don't really get complaints. We get our jobs done and stuff, but he wants to complain about every small thing, right? Like he now there like I have a whole bunch of stories about this too. Like one time had this one guy I worked with. All he did at work was sell crypto and buy crypto and watch Joe Rogan all day while welding. That's why he left because he became a day trader. Like for real, for real.
Yeah, you can make a bunch of money doing that shit, dude.
Yeah, but you have to put a lot of money in it.
Well, yeah, that's it's one of those things. It's exponential growth.
Yeah.
You don't have to technically put a whole lot of money in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's exponential growth, right? If you put an exponent on 1,000, it's a lot bigger than you put an exponent on a.
Yeah, I get what you mean. We ain't talking about the stocks right now. That's a different podcast.
I'm not even going into stocks. I'm just saying generally, like it's just math at that point. It's just exponents. When you're doing exponents, it's better if you're starting with a bigger number.
Yeah, that's why he didn't show up to work for like a month.
Right.
He didn't show up for work for like a month. I don't know how he didn't get fired right then and there, but he was like day trading for a whole month, and he was like, "I got like 20 grand, bro." So I was like, "I'm just gonna kind of work, do a little bit, and go on." I'm like, dope. But that same guy went up to him and said, "I was gonna beat your white ass." I'm like,
yeah, man. I tell you, if I had like $6 grand put down on Dogecoin at the beginning of 2019, dog.
You mean Doge?
Yeah, Dogecoin.
Doge?
Yeah.
You said dog.
Did I say dog?
Yeah.
I mean, is that dog saying it to you, didn't I?
No, you're supposed to say Doge.
No, I'm saying I called you dog, not the coin. But yeah, the Dogecoin, man, I got some. I was looking at that, man. That shit went to 70 cents. I was so mad. I was going to sell it at $1.
Mm-hmm. I had to sell it.
And if I'd have sold it at 70 cents, bro, I'd have made like, I don't know, a couple $100. Not hell of money, but that couple $100 would have gone a long way into reinvestments.
Oh, I had to. I made. I almost put like $1 in for like a couple weeks, and like I got like a big paycheck, and I put like 10% of that in there, and it's like
Right.
put a little bit here and there, and I got it
That's
to like.
that's a piece of advice, dude, from Dad Influence that I'll give you guys, bro. Like, we are not rich people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, neither one of us work at rich jobs. Like, I'm a landscaper.
I'm a low class welder.
Like, neither one of us is making hella money. We're not saying so. Definitely, we're not saying this from a Wall Street style type people. We're telling you right now, like, I think it's 70% of people making over $1 million a year are invested.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, man.
Like, investing into a stock is not about getting rich.
Right.
It's about just having some extra money.
It's about making your money work for you.
Yeah.
As hard as you work for your dang money. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Instead of going and taking, and like people say, oh, take $20 out of your, or $200 or $100 or whatever out of your check and put it in savings every time you get paid. Don't do that. Put it in freaking stocks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know that stocks can lose, but what you guys don't realize is you don't lose money off stocks until you sell them. So if you buy it at $70 and it drops to $40 and then jumps back up to $100, you made $30. It doesn't matter that it dropped to $40.
Yeah.
If you don't sell it before it makes you money, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. That's why I invested in Ford. I think, but when you invest in like a good ass company, man, like Tesla, Ford, like
depends.
Like a company that you know is gonna grow.
It
like
depends.
Like I know Ford. I'm not worried about Ford. Not like
we might want. What were we saying?
we were talking about Ford. I was talking about Ford, man.
Oh yeah, you were saying put your money. I will actually half-ass disagree with you.
Huh.
If you're looking, especially at day trade, if we're talking about day trading, first of all,
well,
you definitely don't want to buy established companies. You want to buy companies that are somewhat volatile.
see,
Because you want to buy them when they drop, so that way they can rise and you can sell them again.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it has to be volatile. That's why cryptocurrency is honestly the best thing to day trade. I will argue with anybody.
That's why I agree with you. But my standing was coming from a money for later type.
Right, but if you're trying to stash money in a hole for way later down the road, then I wouldn't even say quote unquote established companies. I would say companies that pay you dividends, and then get you a good app. I think Robinhood does it. Not that Robinhood, gives us any money or anything, but you can reinvest your dividends back into that same stock.
Yeah.
So a good example of this, I use,
Polaris.
Is it? I never done Polaris. I have Altria, which
I believe Polaris.
Altria is it's the company that owns Philip Morris.
Yeah.
And Jewel and a bunch of wine companies and a bunch of stuff. So they do all these Marlboro, so they're so spread out that they're extremely stable, like you said, right?
Yeah.
But they also pay dividends.
Yeah.
So you get that money and you reinvest it in there, and it just slowly grows itself. And the more you put in it, the higher your dividends are.
When I worked at Polaris, they did that. It was like in their little first day pamphlet and stuff, and that's what really got me into stocks, is because of that. I never bought a Polaris stock though. I should have when I had the chance to.
Are they employee owned only?
No,
because I know Publix, you can only buy stock in Publix if you work there.
No,
or used to.
Nah, but it was like starting off super low compared to what it was. And I say it was like $70, right?
Oh, they give it to you for $40.
Yeah,
probably just paid part of it.
Yeah, and like a good point is like ask your job if your job does that. If you work for like a big company, ask the job if they do that. Like for real, some jobs do it and they don't tell you about it. Like my job doesn't and didn't tell us about it. We just found out. Like we there's like the little TV screens with like all the news and stuff. I looked up. I'm like, they do that and didn't tell us. But it's. Where I work at is pretty still kind of small though, so, but yeah. Yeah, man, we were talking about this one asshole at work, right? No, man, he's just a dick, man. Like, look, man, I get that I get that people. No, I don't get it. I don't know. I'm trying to justify it. I don't get someone who goes to a job to a place that they don't own and make it seem like, oh, we need to do this to make the company money and stuff. I'm like, listen, if the company's not making money and stuff, oh well, they have to pay me my last check before I leave. like, I'm not loyal to some big company who has more, who's nationwide. Or anything. Like, if it's a small company, like a little mom and pop,
you got to realize. Let me make you understand this, because I have the same issue with the guy I was telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the same issue that I had, and I had to sit there and think about it too.
Mm-hmm.
We have a guy like that,
Yeah.
who's never been important.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, when your romantic relationships fail every time you try them because you're never important. You know what I mean? Like, you never get to feel important, needed.
Yeah. See, and that's where
you know what I mean? And that's where he gets it from. He gets it
I know
from...
what you're going, and I know where you're coming from. And, like, I was actually the one who came out and said that about him. It's like, yo, it's like he might be going to some shit. Like, he hasn't been driving his car to work like he used to. It's like catching rides and stuff. It's like, I get that, you know what I mean? But you as a 40-year-old man have
That's what I'm talking about. The guy I'm talking about is an old-ass dude.
Yeah, but they have...
with a daughter, a wife that ran off, chicks he talks to now won't,
and like,
ghost him left and right.
And like, not to sound like a dickhead, I care when you come to me in a state of needing help, you know what I mean? But if you're coming at me like a dickhead, I lost sympathy. You know what I mean? Like,
there's
but
a
if
thing
you
about men, though, you got to realize.
I get, like, I know where you're
we
going.
Gotta feel like we're helping and we're important.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's the one place he gets to dominate. Some people get a dog. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because they have problems with that and they need something to dominate. And some people get, whatever. But I really think that's his dominance out of check. Because a lot of people think that dominance in general is a bad thing per se or whatever. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Oppression is. You know what I mean? You don't just push your dominance onto people. But, dominance has a lot to do with your confidence and things like that. And like the lobster thing, you know what I mean? That everybody talks about.
I was about to bring up Mike Tyson.
What?
I was about to bring up Mike Tyson.
No, I'm talking about there's a thing they've proven it in your brain that has to do with the serotonin and all that stuff.
I know what you're talking about.
And where you perceive yourself to be at in a hierarchy, and how hard you fight to try to get to the top. And that's kind of where it is. His lobster brain is telling him that he's really low on the hierarchy, and he's fighting his hardest to try to get up.
Yeah, but that's...
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, but that's the thing, man.
I'm not saying it's justified. I'm just saying that it's understandable.
But the thing is it's like, even though I'm talking shit about the guy, even though I want the guy to leave and stuff, he's like one of our best workers there. You know what I mean? But I want him to leave because he's a dick. He's a dick. It's like no one in there... Like, he hasn't been fired because of that reason. Because he's valuable. Like, apparently he loves putting metal together all day, so, right? And, like, we're not taking that from him.
And it's kind of the same thing with this guy. The reason he's sticking around is because he's valuable. And I really kind of starting to say was. Because he's gotten all pissed off that basically we got into that big fight and all of that. And I straight up told Tyson I wasn't coming back if I had to ever see him again. I told my boss, that's why I was straight up like, I'm not coming back if I ever have to see him again. And he said, okay, well, you can come in at 7:30. And that pissed him off that I was able to come in 30 minutes later than he was and had to go. So that way we were loading up the trucks to work at different times. Right. Yeah. And he got salty with that, and he's been letting all this stuff go by the wayside. Like, I actually had to do some of his yards last week. But in his defense, he was sick. Yeah. So, like, I'm not talking smack there. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, he was sick, and I had to do some of his yards, so I see how they're being let go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got runners a foot long coming out of the bushes and stuff like that. It's like he's starting to not give a shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, the whole reason that you're still there, like, you know.
You good? Keep going.
Oh, well, the whole reason that he's still there is because he's really good.
Yeah.
When he really cares. He really is. And I'll give him that. He's really good at what he does. But, like you said, he's a dick.
Yeah.
So, like, you get to the point where, like, I've been there now for over a year, and he's gone through 4 different helpers as a supervisor. Like, people just keep quitting. They don't want to work with him.
No.
Because he's the type that he won't, when he's not in the mood, he'll put everything off on his helper and make his helper do most of the work until they quit. Or he's an asshole to them. If they say anything about that, he's an asshole to them until they quit. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's happened several times, dude. There's another helper that will not work with him.
Yeah.
And he's on my truck now. Period. He will not work with that guy. The man has got in his truck and gone home when they told him he was working with Mike. He literally got out of the fucking car and went back home.
Yeah.
He was like, "No, I'm not working with that dude."
Hey, I know Mike's a common name, but let's make sure we don't name drop much.
We can bleep it.
Yeah.
You can go through and bleep stuff, right? Because I also said other people's names.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
On accident. I realized it after the fact.
What?
But
yeah.
We just cut all that if we want to.
I mean, they're common names. How many Mikes you know?
That's true, but...
No. Like, I really doubt many people from your job watch your podcast, right?
Don't think so. Because
yeah, so you good. Hell, by the time they do,
by the time they find everybody, they're like, "This motherfucker over here talking shit." Yep, sure am.
But by the time, you know, if you know like I don't know, a Jaquan or something like that, how many Jaquans you know? You might know one. It's not name dropped like that.
Yeah, I ain't saying no last names.
But no, man, this guy. But no, he. My biggest problem is him and stuff, right? He comes off like he wants to fight, like a lot of times too. And I'm like, listen, man. I'm at work. Right? I'm like, sometimes going to work is my only time of peace because I just put my earbuds in, weld all day, put stuff up, and all that. That's my time of peace, man. Don't come in my bubble, man, and just try to ruin that. I really don't like. First of all, it's like I don't like. I like fights. I like to spar. I do some boxing here and there.
Yeah, me too. Like I did MMA. It's like I said, none of this is. That's the thing that's something that I will point out here. What? You notice the people that actually know how to fight are the ones that don't want to.
Yeah.
You notice that? Because they've actually been in real fights. They've actually really gotten hurt, so they understand the danger that's involved in a fight.
I've been knocked out. I have actually broken ribs. My jaw was like tight for a while one time. My neck was had whiplash. I've been hit by professional fighters, bro.
Me too. I've dislocated people's shoulders before. Bro,
getting hit by average Joe and getting hit by a professional fighter, man.
It's not. It's not the same thing.
It's night and day, bro.
It is not the same thing.
It's night and day.
I ain't afraid at all of somebody who just street fights.
Yeah, bro. But my thing is,
my ex's brother was like that. He was he's big into street fights and all this stuff, and that's all he did and all that. And I did MMA and did wrestling. I wrestled in high school and stuff like that. And yeah, I came about an inch from breaking his arm one time. Because after me and my ex broke up, he decided he was gonna defend her honor or something. Yeah,
I did.
She saved him. Like I had him in the armbar, dude, and I was literally about to break it.
You were cranking that bitch.
I was about to crank that guy. Right, I had literally pulled it straight in, locked in the armbar. Dude, I was about to have him.
Yeah.
And then my ex saw the armbar. And we dated for like 5 years. She knew what it was. Like I watched UFC and stuff like that around her.
You did it on her a few times.
Nah, I didn't armbar her.
You haven't armbarred a girlfriend?
Nah, I haven't armbarred her. I mean, I've armbarred a girl, but I haven't like
armbar.
Right.
I do that.
I ain't never locked one in on a chick.
Oh yeah, I do that with my girlfriend all the time.
Yeah, that's a whole nother ball game, bro.
I never forget when we first started talking and stuff. I was like, yeah, I've done jiu-jitsu for a while, right?
Right.
And she was like, oh, he was like, what's that? And I'm like, all right, I'll show you. So I like grappling with her and stuff. I'm like, you want to see an arm bar? She was like, sure. And like I put her like that. I flipped. I forgot.
Yeah. The regular arm bar, not the takedown arm bar.
No, yeah. And she was like, oh, this doesn't hurt. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm not cranking it. It's like, you want me to? She was like, sure. And I'm like, all right, bet. So I eased back a little bit. She was like, stop.
She was stop.
It's like, it's like there's a
the most deadly.
There's like the small thin line of like, okay, I'm okay. Then like you get to a little bit, it was like, okay, you need to stop.
Right. That's what I was saying. Armbar is one of those things, man. You ask anybody that does MMA, ask anybody what you should do if you get caught in an armbar. It's time to tap, dog. It's over. You lost. It's like asking what you should do after you get knocked out in boxing. It's over, dude. You lost.
Any submission you're in, bro. If it's cranked in and stuff, you can't get out, you got tap.
Yeah, an armbar is impossible to get out of. Like, a lot of them have ways to get out of them, counters and stuff like that, if you know what you're doing.
But even still, man.
But an armbar is literally impossible to get out of without breaking your own arm. Like, it's crazy. Like, the way it works, the body mechanics of it, you cannot get out of it without breaking your own arm. And the thing is if you have the one that's, like you're talking about, where you're laying down, like, if you have the one, armbar takedown, you can only break their arm. Yeah. But if you have what you were talking about, where you're laying on your back and you're pulling it through your legs, that one you can actually, if you can go like that, and you can break it, and then you can pull, right, and you can dislocate it.
Yeah, I seen some. Now, you say that might be the one that might be one of the few submissions you can't get out of. Well, I've seen some crazy shit. Or like I forgot his name. It was like,
that's what I'm saying. If it's properly done, you can't get out of it.
Oh yeah.
Now, people do things improperly all day.
Oh yeah.
But if it's properly done, you are not getting out of it.
I never forget someone. Man,
once it's locked in, you're over.
There was this one fight, right? It was this British dude back in the early UFC and stuff. Had a full tight-end armbar, right? And it was locked in for like a good 10 seconds, and he did not tap. So I think he dislocated his own shoulder.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to break your own arm in some way, whether it be just you can dislocate it and do it. Like, but you can break your own arm and get out of it.
I think it was like maybe Bellator. I don't know. I watched so many fight championships. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, anyway, I'm one of those that I don't even really care who's fighting. I just like watching them.
Yeah. UFC's been kind of dull to me lately, though.
Yeah, I just like watching them fight. I don't know. I like the moves. I like the chess match of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and the thing is, I could see why some people would watch it and be like, man, this is brutal. But, like, when you've actually done that kind of stuff and you understand that, like, it's more of a chess game than it is an actual, than it is actual fighting. Like,
a lot of them are smart savages now.
Right. You have to be smart. Listen to Joe Rogan on his MMA shows. Like, there's a lot of intelligence on how you're supposed to do this stuff.
Man, listen, man. Like, people don't understand how smart a lot of these boxers are, man. But, before we get to that,
boxers, maybe not.
Huh?
Boxers, maybe not.
There's a science to boxing, man. There's a science to boxing, bro.
Boxing is easy to cheat.
Yeah.
Look at Mayweather. Like, I'm gonna piss a lot of people off right now. But Mayweather is nothing but a counterpuncher.
Yeah, that's
all he is. Like,
one
of the first things they teach you in boxing is whatever arm they throw with, step to that side and hit him in the side of the fucking face.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he does.
That's
all he does.
See, here's the thing.
If the other guy never throws a swing, Mayweather would probably never throw a punch.
See, Mayweather has mastered counter punching.
And that's what I'm saying.
But that's
because counter punching is the most broken thing in boxing. It's undefendable against. You literally can't defend against it. Mm-hmm. That's why it's called a counter punch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't defend against throwing a punch and somebody hitting you over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't do it. And like I said, so the people were like, well, he's undefeated. It was like, well...
Doesn't mean he's that great, though.
That's because all he does is counterpunch.
I mean, just because he's undefeated doesn't make him the greatest.
Right.
Because I have more respect for a heavyweight.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is, like, if he was to get into a street fight...
It's over.
He would get his ass whipped. Look, that's one of those situations. Like, if he was to fight, like, it was the thing I was saying when he fought McGregor. Mm-hmm. I said if they were in UFC, he would have got wrecked.
Look, I pissed off on Mayweather for him, bro. One time, it's like, yeah, if me and Mayweather got into a fight and it was like, UFC rules, it's like I'll put my money on me.
For real though, because I would see him doing all that counterpunching stuff, and would intentionally do some shit to make him go ahead and throw that swing, duck on under it. Dude, I would wrap him in a pretzel in a half a minute. That's all you would do. And I'm not saying I could beat up freaking Mayweather because I probably would lose. But the point I'm making,
I have a chance.
Right.
I still put my money.
I have more of a chance than if I was boxing Mayweather.
Yeah.
Anybody boxing Mayweather is going to lose. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's that simple because his style of fighting is literally set up in such a way that it's only useful if you're boxing according to the rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me see him do that when somebody's throwing a freaking windmill kick at him.
Hey, honestly, just leg kicks, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Kick him. That's all you got to do. Mm-hmm. He's done.
A front teep.
Because that stuff don't work when somebody's kicking. You can't just step to the side.
You can't block it either.
Right.
You ever tried to block a kick?
You can block it. It just ain't going to work very well. It hurts like a motherfucker.
Have you tried to block a kick before?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I have.
I've successfully blocked kicks. But, you still feel them.
Man, the kicks I felt, man.
That's what I'm saying. You still feel them. Mm-hmm. For sure. It's a lot different than trying to block a punch.
Oh yeah. But back on the topic about street fighting, right? I don't really like fighting with a lot of hard surfaces and stuff, like concrete and shit.
Oh yeah, I'll ankle pick somebody and make it over.
Like, it's straight up, honestly, if it was a fight for my life, I'm punching you in the nuts, bro. I've done.
That's what I did to my ex's brother.
Punch him in the nuts?
No, I took him. He swung on me, and I did this ankle pick single leg thing that I did. Kind of mixture between the two, and dropped him right on his ass, and he lost his not on his ass, but on his back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he hit the ground, and we were on a porch, like that. It's concrete. You know what I mean? So when he hit that concrete, like every bit of air that was in his body left. You know what I'm saying? So he couldn't move for half a second, so I went ahead and pulled him into that arm bar. And I was holding the arm bar, and I started to stretch it back because, we had not fought, but kind of had a small altercation prior to that. Yeah. And I told him if he ever put his hands on me again, I was breaking him.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to be a liar. And I was literally extending it to break his shit, right? And that's when my ex come out the door and started pulling and, breaking it up. I was like, yeah, you're lucky. He about got his arm broke.
I never forget the leg kick the guy one time. It was like back before I even knew leg kick was a proper technique. Right? It was like middle school. Like I forgot what really happened. I just knew I was fighting some short motherfucker. I leg kicked him and he flipped over.
I did when all that shit happened. I remember I was like, I went down to the police station to file a report and everything. It was funny because they were like, so you want to press charges for assault? I was like, no, I don't want to press charges for assault. I don't want to put him in jail or anything. He's like, why you want the report? I was like, so if he puts his hands on me again, you guys know that he was the initial aggressor. that he has a history of being aggressive towards me. I was like, so when I beat the shit out of him, I'm good. And then it was funny. The cop was like, that's actually a really good idea. I was like, I done told him to keep his hands off me.
Oh, yeah. But no, man,
But it was like, they thought it was crazy that I wanted to file a report. I just wanted it reported. I didn't want him to go to jail. I didn't want to give him trouble or anything. I said, I do not want to press any charges.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, I am not going to jail when his pussy ass calls the cops.
Oh, yeah. But
a lot of people don't know to do that kind of stuff. Sometimes when somebody puts your hands on you, yeah, it is some bitch shit to go to the cops and try to fucking put them in jail over it or something stupid like that. But it ain't no bitch shit to just say, hey, I just want to report. I don't want to press charges. I don't want to do nothing. I just want to report.
Mm-hmm.
Because that kind of stuff will save you in the long run. Because I remember, I know my cousin, he got into a fight with his buddies down in downtown.
Mm-hmm.
These guys started a fight with him and swung on him all that, and they beat the holy shit out of these other kids, right? Like, beat the shit out of them. And had hella proof that they had started it and everything, right? And because they beat the holy shit out of them, and I guess it worked out in that favor, and like they ended up getting in trouble for it, got sued and everything, had to pay for their bills, medical bills. So I mean, it's always good to have some kind of record of documentation that the person who started the fight with you wanted to fight you.
But honestly,
so yes, record fights. World star.
Yeah, recording fights ain't bad, man. Recording altercations ain't a bad idea.
It's a good idea.
It's a great idea.
And plus, Washington and Texas are the only states that do shit right. We should have mutual combat laws.
Yes.
I do not understand why only 2 states said this makes sense.
Remember back in the day when they had like guns and shit? And they were like,
that's mutual combat.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's still mutual combat.
I don't know why they stopped that shit. That was pretty common back in the day.
I mean, call me extreme, but I think if you want to have a full-blown Call of Duty battle in your backyard, you should be allowed to.
Yeah, if no one else is gonna get harmed,
Yeah.
That's
people are like, well, what if a stray bullet comes off? Well, then guess what? You're liable for that stray bullet.
Yeah.
Duh.
Hell, listen, man, in the state we live in now, we ain't saying where we live in. In the state we live in now, we can do bare knuckle boxing, right? If you don't know anything about bare knuckle boxing, you know one thing: you're gonna get cut the fuck up. All right. And all you have to do is pay, $50 and sign like a waiver. And literally you're beating the shit out of a guy in the cage. In the ring. Right? That simple.
And I don't see a problem with that.
But
as long as everybody's having informed consent, they know what the hell's going on. I don't have
and I think it's pretty easy to get those papers anyway. I think it's pretty easy to get those papers. Don't hold me against that, but I think it's pretty easy to get papers like that. Yeah, I think that's how some of these backyard wrestling events get started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like these small wrestling companies, federations and stuff. I think that's how they do it. No, man. Listen, there's nothing wrong with punching someone in the face, man.
Every now and again.
You know what I mean?
Just make sure they want to be punched in the face.
You know what I mean? If they're asking to get punched in the face, man, punch them in the face. Sometimes they need it.
Oh, and just so you know, legal-wise, if you tell someone to hit you, you have given them permission, dummy.
Yeah, stop
that's funny too. Like
I swear I hate that.
My old roommate,
motherfucker.
my old roommate was I was giving her a ride to work, me and my wife, on the way there, and she was like, freaking losing her shit, like, don't help me no more, because I was telling her all I wanted to do was help clean up around the house a little bit more, because she's kind of a slob, and don't get me wrong, I'm not the cleanest motherfucker on the planet, but if I'm calling somebody a slob, they definitely need to pitch in a little bit more. But anyway, I was saying that, she needed to pitch in more, and she was like, and I was like, I don't have a problem helping you. All I need is this help right here. You know what I mean? I help you with anything you ever need. And she was like, well, you always throwing stuff up in my face for helping me or whatever. If that's the case, don't help me no more. I was like, is that how you feel? She said, yeah. And I pulled over at the Burger King and dropped her off right there. I was like, get out of my car then. You know what I'm saying? We were on the way. We both worked the same place. All three of us worked the same place. And I was like, you know, I'm not helping you no more. You can find your own way to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's that simple. It's like, you know, you can't sit here and say, stop helping me, and then demand that I keep helping you. Right?
Yeah.
And then we get there, and I'm like, get out of my car. And she's like, you're going to have to force me out this car. I'm not getting out this car. Right? Thing is that she told the cop that when she called the cops when I actually, you know, forced her out of the car. When I forced her out of the car, she called the cops saying I was insulting her. Right? And the cops show up is like, so what happened? And she was like, he told me to get out of the car, and I told him that he was going to have to make me. And then he started trying to pull me out of the car. And he's like, yeah, well, you told him to. That's literally what the cop said to her. And she was like, no, I didn't. He's like, yeah, you told him to make you get out of the car.
Yeah, I remember that roommate. I knew something.
That shit was so funny to me, though. That shit was so great. Because the cop was just like, yeah, well, you told him to.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not saying names because... Yeah, I have a story about that roommate. I knew something was up when I hooked up with it, bro.
I can't believe you put your thing in that, dude.
It wasn't actually bad, bro. But oh no, it wasn't that bad.
It was good?
It was real good. But I knew something was up.
Sometimes crazy chicks got the best.
They really do. I'm not even gonna fuck them up. Like every crazy girl I've been with is like...
Crazy does something to it down there.
Hey,
I guess because it can't all be negatives.
Hey, that was one of her few positives, bro.
It's got to be the only positive that I've ever known. I didn't even get a piece of the positive, man. That's some bullshit. I mean, I'm married. Still.
She's still crazy, bro.
I had to deal with all the bad stuff and then didn't get none of the good.
Yeah, she's still crazy, bro. Still crazy.
Still crazy? You dealt with her since?
Nah, I saw her at the Chinese restaurant downtown.
Oh.
And I looked there and I looked away. And I heard a little scoff. I'm like, yep. Still a bitch. Cause I didn't say anything to her after that situation. Like, I think she, like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know what the fuck her deal was, bro. Rude bitch. I'm trying to justify it. No, she was just a rude bitch, man. I knew something was up. Man.
Yeah, she was one of those people that felt like the world owed her something. She really did. Like, everybody owed her, taking care of her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there was that one dude that she got a crush on, and he wasn't really feeling her. Like, he had came down from, like, somewhere out of town and stayed with her for a couple of days and then left back and then never talked to her again because he didn't really feel her.
Did he meet her?
Yeah, like, I wouldn't say he never talked to her again, per se. Like, he was just like, hey, I don't really like you like that or whatever.
Smart man.
He wasn't feeling it, right? After he met her, I mean, that's the point. He came down there to meet you, and he wasn't feeling it. Like, that's fine. Yeah. But anyway, she was pissed off about it, so she was, like, telling him that she got pregnant and everything, and that he had to pay for the abortion. Jesus. And made him send her money and everything. And
why did you tell me this before?
This was after you.
Oh, okay.
Or I would have told you. Trust me. I wouldn't have sent you after that, Nate.
I was about to say, bro, you
that's what I was saying.
I was about to say, bro, we're about to reconsider this podcast, man. It's like, what else, motherfucker?
Yeah, that chick was a really bad person, if you ask me. Like, that's some grimy ass shit to do.
Yeah, she ain't the worst, but she pretty down there.
That's some grimy ass shit to do.
I met some of the worst people I've met in my life.
And the thing was she felt like she was justified because she liked him and he didn't like her, and he deserved to pay for not liking her.
Listen, man, some of the worst pieces of shit in my life I've met in my life are crazy females, man. I know one girl who was outspoken about how many dudes she raped, and like no one thought that was
Well,
wrong.
like, you got to think, dude. Like, Bill Burr has a great bit about that when he was talking about the whole believe all women thing. He's like, all of them?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's like, even the ones that key your car and set your shit on fire? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's got a point. It's like, not all women are great, beautiful, women. No. Some of them are girls, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you should believe all the women that are, good people. But you got to realize that women get real grimy when they feel they've been wronged. There's an old saying, and it's hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Yeah.
And it's really true.
That's what I'm saying. Some of the worst people I have met were crazy freaking bitches, man.
Like, chicks will stoop to some deep-ass levels when they get pissed off.
Like, right. Like, dude, look, the worst dude I met in my life, no, I think he's on the same level, but the second worst dude I met in my life, all he did was kill someone. Right? That's the worst. The worst thing, the worst female I met in my life. Third worst female I met in my life. Molested the kid. Right? Blamed her husband. And then kept on molesting kids. And I didn't know who she was until someone pointed it out to her for me. And I'm like, she's still, what? Like, I met a lot of piece of shit in my life. I just not realizing that, man.
Right, and it's not me saying, I'm not trying to be a woman hater here.
No, I love my women. I love
women more than anything else.
Shit, I like them more than dudes, okay? Like,
for real though, I'm just pointing out that like
some of y'all bitches are evil.
The extreme side of women is freaking hardcore. It's kind of like the extreme side of men. Like, they got some fucking crazy motherfuckers. Like, right? Like, but like, I don't know. Like, when you go to the extreme side of guys,
I'm just saying
they're all just violent.
I'm just saying, man. Female Hitler have been the way worse. You can quote me on that.
I don't know.
I'm gonna cut that.
I don't know if I give you that. I don't know if I give you female Hitler would have been worse. I think male Hitler is definitely the worst of the two.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because we're talking about an issue of aggression.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're talking about actual physical aggression.
Yeah.
And men are better at physical aggression.
No, I'm just saying.
That's why we're 80% of the prison population.
I'm just saying, man. Females are. I'm just saying, man. Females are good at making it feel like it's your fault.
Exactly.
That's why I say she'll be worse. I just thought something fucked up. I can't say this. I'm cutting that shit out.
This chick be on there now.
No, fuck it. I'm gonna say
fault for making me kill him.
She was like, Miss Fuhrer, why are you sending me to the gas chamber? It was like, I just find it funny how.
Who was that? Chad Daniels was saying that. He was saying that women were the superior sex. I think this is the realest pug ever said by a comedian. Because he was like, women are way easily the superior sex. He said, and should be running everything. But the thing about it is you hate each other. And it's such a good point. Mm-hmm. He's like, you guys show up to the march, and another woman shows up to the march with the same sign, and you're like, oh, fuck this.
I mean, have you seen women's MMA and shit? It looks more personal, bro.
Saying about Hillary Clinton is like, yeah, Hillary Clinton ran for president, and 80% of the women that look just like her said, hell no.
I think I met more male Hillary supporters than female, honestly.
Right.
Like,
yeah, because a lot of those...
Tulsi Gabbard's another one.
Every man that supported Clinton,
yeah,
swear to God, was just a simp.
Damn. Oh, man.
Just about everyone. All of them were just simps. Like, they were just trying to say, hey, look, I'm progressive. I'd vote for a woman. I would too, just not a serial killer.
Not a bitch.
I'm totally I actually would vote for Tulsi Gabbard. I would vote for her. But But the thing is honestly, even Tulsi Gabbard, to be real, like people kind of play her up to be so great. And don't get me wrong, she's a good politician.
Yeah.
Because and what makes her a good politician in my eyes is I really believe she truly believes what she's saying.
I like Yang better anyway.
I do like Yang too for the same reason.
Mm-hmm.
He believes what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with Gabbard, is that what she believes isn't always great.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at the stuff that she was talking about, like, with the recent shit, where she was talking about, the Islamic, when she was on 9/11, she was talking about the Islamist ideology and all of this. It's like...
Yeah.
Now, first of all, it was kind of stupid because it kind of allowed her to get painted as an anti-Islam person.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are ignorant and don't realize there's a difference between Islamist and Islamic.
Yeah.
Right? In the way that, like... Islamist is people who believe that they're in a holy war to convert all people to Islam.
Yeah.
That's Islamist. That's completely different than it's somebody who's Islamic on a crusade.
Yeah.
Whereas, it's kind of like the difference between a Christian and a crusader.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not, they're Christian too. But the problem we're having is with the crusading, not the Christian part.
And,
Islamist people are, that's the political side of the ideology that people have an issue with.
I mean, Islamic people kind of wish more people heard that.
Oh, I'm sure a lot.
Like, I swear, bro.
I'm sure a lot. I'm sure a lot of people, Islamic people are listening to the podcast right now going, this guy gets it.
Oh, thank God, man. Like,
at least somebody understands.
I'm getting tired of people sending bacon just to piss me off.
Right, and then you get all these people that are up in arms saying that she's, like racist or something or anti-Semitic for saying stuff about, Islamic people and there's nothing wrong with Islam. Islam's a religion of peace and all this. It's like, this is all garbage, what you're saying, because she didn't say anything about Islam. She said something about Islamists.
Yeah. See, that's why I can't run for politics, bro. That's why it's hard to run for. That's why I like.
Right, because the people you're talking to are a bunch of dumbasses.
It's like, listen, man. I'm not the smartest motherfucker, man. Like, if you could see me, man, you'd be like, man, does he even know what a book is? That's fucked up since I'm black. I can't say that on the podcast. I gotta cut that out.
What?
I'm out here being racist, saying I can't read. All I know how to do is work out and work, play sports and work. But no, like. I'm not afraid to say this. I'm a big dumb motherfucker, man. It's like, I admit that. Now that's why I try to learn a lot, right? But here's the difference between me and the average Joe. I know I could be retarded. A dumbass doesn't. You know what I mean? Most dumb people don't know they're dumb. They think they're the most smartest person on the earth.
Oh yeah.
Like that's why it's kind of, like I have these. I actually started writing because I wanted to get into politics, right? But then I'm like, I'm not sure if I can do it, bro. I would have cut someone out.
Oh yeah,
like that's sure. Like I'm, like I tell myself it's like I'm not gonna be a Donald Trump. I'm not gonna speak out my ass and shit. You know what I mean?
I probably would.
And exactly, because I'm like.
And that's honestly the appeal of Donald Trump. Whether you like him or not, you got to say that. Ask anybody that's a fan of Donald Trump, and that's the first words out of their mouth.
But I feel like I'll be a lot worse.
I feel like he's telling us what he actually thinks. I feel like...
yeah.
Because he's speaking off the cuff. Of course he is.
Yeah, and like, what I think about him is he's a freaking egomaniac.
Right, I agree.
You know what I mean?
But
I don't think, like, the reason a lot of people hate him is not the reason I hate him. I don't think he's, like, racist and, the what society thinks is racist. I think he's just, he might have that ignorant racist. You know what I mean? Because he grew up in as a rich kid. You know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying. Is let's put it like we were talking about before.
Yeah.
You know how like there's evolutions of racism.
Yeah.
And I said you got the Charmanders, the Charmeleons, and the Charizards. Yeah. He's a Charmander.
Yeah.
David Duke is a Charizard.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like, to sit there and say that he's the same as a David Duke type character is wrong.
Let me.
And I would say that, honestly, I would actually give Joe Biden Charmeleon. Believe it or not.
Because
he's dangerous. because he's. This is the thing about it is I do believe they're both racist, right? Yeah. But I believe that Donald Trump was a racist that no one paid attention to and was extremely ineffective, right? Mm-hmm. But I think Joe Biden was a racist that was extremely effective and no one paid attention to. So it's kind of like you want the guy that's visible and that can't do anything, or do you want the guy that's incognito and can get all of it done?
Let me put this in perspective.
So to me, Joe Biden was a lot more dangerous from that perspective.
Let me say this. We gotta wrap up. After this, we'll wrap up.
Okay.
Let me say this. It's coming from.
I guess I could finish my point on Tulsi Gabbard too, but go ahead. What you were saying.
Okay, I say my statement. You finish Tulsi Gabbard.
Then we wrap.
Got it. So, as a black guy, I will say this. Us black people came a long way, man. Came a long fucking way. We went from getting treated like shit to like a couple months after that, after bondage and slavery, having our first black congressman, right? We went from
Frederick Douglass,
motherfucker.
My man, bro.
Man.
The man was such a gangster in the freaking
world in history. We had Martin Luther King. We had all of them, right? What makes them special is they lived through the shit. I mean, they lived through real racism and shit. And I'm sorry to say this. Black people around my age, you didn't experience that shit like they did. A lot what a lot of people complain about nowadays is like the smallest shit. You know what I mean? You know what? Listen. If a dude came up to me and just straight up called me a nigger, right, in my face, how does he really affect my life? He doesn't. he really doesn't. I mean, now my kid's there. That's still a different story, but I'll still have that same mindset. It's like, yo, don't say that in front of my kid, please. You know what I mean? And I'll just walk away. I mean, he stays mad, and I'll go about my day and everything, right? The racism you need to fight is the one that not just affects you. It's what affects. They
almost got there with the big race theory currently.
Yeah.
Right? Because they kind of backtracked what racism was. Because it used to be racism is prejudice against someone based on their race/skin color.
Yeah.
Right? That used to be racism. Right? But then they changed that and they said, no, well, it's discrimination plus power. You have to have power to be a racist.
Which is bullshit.
Which, in a way, is bullshit. But they were on to something, though. Because the thing about it is really the issue with racism is less the actual racism. But don't get me wrong, it's disgusting.
It's the system. Maybe.
Right. Don't get me wrong, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's the power that certain racists have to enact their racist vision.
All right,
do you get what I'm saying?
No, but that's
it's not a problem that Joe Biden is a racist. It's a problem that Joe Biden is a racist in the White House.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
It's like this, right? It's like the drug war and shit, right?
Right.
Like it all started because of racism. Right. Harry ass eater, Assling or whatever the fuck his name. I'm calling him Harry ass eater. All right. It started as a race thing and shit, and now look how it affects everyone. I mean, it's not just affecting minorities; it's affecting everyone.
It hurts everybody. That's the thing is when you had the anti-discrimination laws passed, it made it where you couldn't make a law that just said black people can't do X or white people can do X only. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It made it where they couldn't do that kind of shit anymore.
Doesn't mean it still won't happen.
No, don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that so the way that they do it now is a lot of times they attack based on class rather than race. Because you can get most of the black people, and you get a couple of white people in the mix, but poor whites have always been hated by the elites anyway.
Yeah.
Because people think that it was more about racism. Most of human history is about class.
That's how
it was really mainly class.
That's how the Salem witch trials were too.
Right. It's mainly a class issue. And the thing is people like Marx and people like that have came to that conclusion a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And we've done that. And then that, like this new stuff that they call neo-Marxism. Neo-Marxism does not have the right to even be called Marxism. Marx would be fucking disgusted by that shit.
Well, but here's the crazy.
Because all it's trying to do is recreate a class system based on race.
What the example I love to bring up is this. It's like Chicago and shit. Chirac. Alright? I love to bring up Chirac because I always use that to talk about black on black crime. And I use it because it's just to show people it's not really a race thing, it's just the results of a law. You know what I mean?
Right, but you got to realize when you're talking about black on black crime, a lot of that again is fueled by other things. Like
no, but
it's
the reason is
I got to shoot at the guy across the street because he broke into my house to steal these drugs that I need to feed my family.
But that's the thing.
You see what I'm saying?
But that's the thing.
And I can't call the cops to come handle this that he stole from me because what I'm doing is illegal in their mind, and they'll probably shoot me anyway.
But that's my point.
So like you kind of put these people in a really fucked up situation.
But that's my point when I talk about black on black crime and shit.
I'm just making the point that when we're talking about black on black crime, we're not saying black people are a bunch of animals that can't help but be criminals. I mean, when we're saying this, because some people will bring up black on black crime and they'll try to make that point that blacks are all animals and they all deserve, they deserve their crap. You know what I mean? It's like no. And I can't stand that kind of thinking. You know what I mean?
Because I believe because it seems like a very this way or that way type of thing,
right?
And like I believe both sides are really wrong about how they go about it,
right?
I mean, it's like of course black people kill more each other because they're around more black people. I'm like,
right?
Yeah, but you also gotta look at this. It's like a very small minority of those black people kill a lot. Like
right. My point is, if you were to start if you start to break down the statistics and you start to look at black on black crime and then you combine it with drug related, then you start to see how high that goes. And it's
that's my thing though.
And it's not to say that it's all because it's all a bunch of drug addicts, whatever. It's more me saying that like when you police something to that effect. Right,
but no,
you give them no resources to handle it peacefully.
But no, that's my point though. That's my whole point. It's like it's what you get from the drug war. It's
right,
like
exactly. And the thing is the reason why I'm pointing this out. Like, here's a good way. Yeah. Chicago looked the exact same way with white on white crime in the 20s.
Yeah,
in the mob era.
No, like I was.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Why? Because they were prohibiting alcohol, and alcohol was the big drug crime then. So you had white on white crime. That's why they started illegalizing automatic guns. They were shooting Tommy guns at each other, taking out civilians. Yeah, it was all kinds of white on white crime when they were doing a drug war.
Because you can no matter what you put,
Chicago was white.
But you bring any race of people in that situation, it's gonna happen.
Right.
I mean, it's like hell here where we live and stuff. You go straight to the ghetto and shit. I guarantee you go to the bumfuck out of nowhere. White trailer park and shit, you get the same dumb shit. You get the crackhead or the mess head in the middle of the street in their underwear and shit. You hear the occasional gun pop.
Go up to Appalachia and you'll see the same shit.
I mean, it's not race.
Yeah, it's not race. A lot of it's poverty too.
Yeah, a lot of this systematic things people talk about is not really race. It's class. It's the only reason it's race is because you were told it was race.
Right. That guy the guy in the hood in the middle of Chicago is just as likely to get out of his situation as the guy in the trailer park in the middle of, BFE, some country place.
Real,
they're really just as likely to get out. You're in a situation where everything is stacked against you.
But what really pisses me off is it's always a fucking privileged motherfucker who brings that shit up. Who always screams about see how Chicago is and stuff. I'm like, motherfucker, you don't really know how it is. I don't know. I people need to understand their own fucking privilege, bro. Like, privilege is something small. Like, you have your mom and dad, right?
Yeah, and I would say that most of it comes from wealth rather than race.
Yeah.
Like, if Dave Chappelle kind of illustrated that too when he was talking about. He said he got pulled over by the same cop that killed, I think it was Michael Brown.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and he just he was like, "Don't worry, you're Dave Chappelle. Go ahead."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Why? Because Dave Chappelle, if he had roughed up or did something wrong with Dave Chappelle, that man would have been in so many lawsuits, left, right, and center, that he would have never, he'd have had so much problems, right?
I hate
but the thing is when you kill a poor black man, they don't really have the money to fight it a lot of times.
Yeah, I hate to be the White Lives Matter guy right now, but I've seen a lot of white dudes get their ass beat by cops, bro.
Right. I mean,
now is there
that
different
Stanford prison experiment, and that's kind of the point. Is I get that a lot of people are talking about a lot of this is a degree situation. So like if you look at the statistics, white people are more likely to be shot by the police, but
there's more white people though.
Right. That's kind of the point that I was about to say. I'm like, and people will point that out that I'll be like, yeah, but it's like white people are like 60% of the shootings and like 80% of the people or something like that. It's ridiculous. It's like 13% of the population is making up almost half of the shootings.
And when you even look at that number,
crazy.
It's even smaller because, bro, I just remember this fucking story, bro. Did I ever tell you about this FBI agent going undercover to see how the guns are being trafficked in Chicago and shit?
No, yeah.
So this FBI agent went undercover, right? And he was about to do a bust, right? He got into a shootout with some gang members, right? After a while, he looks up, he pokes his head out and sees a grenade launcher. Like, bro, that's what you're dealing with over there, bro. Like, people don't understand. This is called Chirac for a fucking reason.
Now, let me ask you this. How do they afford a grenade launcher?
Hey, man.
Because you put a multi-billion-dollar industry in the hands of criminals.
Like, bro,
it's that simple.
I
gave a country's funding to criminals.
Mm-hmm. remember that hurricane or earthquake in Japan and shit, and they had to do that cleanup on that nuclear plant.
You want to know? Here, let me give you a really good example.
Hear me out.
Clean up on the nuclear plant. Remind me.
The Yakuza sent a lot of guys who were in debt with them to go work for their money.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it was government mandated too. Because apparently a lot of the Yakuza members work in the government in Japan.
That's crazy.
And
I know. We were talking about Yakuza. What was I saying? Let's pause this for a second. I gotta fucking think now. Alright, but what I was talking about was the thing about it is you give the funding of a country to drug dealers by legalizing, drugs. You really do. And in a good case in point of that I was pointing out was Pablo Escobar. Because Pablo Escobar, he ran the Medellin cartel. And the entire, freaking city of Medellin was totally with him. And it wasn't like they were scared of him. Mm-hmm. It's not like he went around and was like, I'm going to kill you all if you don't help me. Yeah. He was like, I'll pay for the schools. I'll pay for this. I'll pay for that. He was funding that town. That was one of the best towns to live in Colombia simply because Pablo Escobar funded it with drug money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To the point where anytime the cops would try to come in there, he was long gone before they even got to his house. Mm-hmm. Because everybody told. Everybody would snitch on the cops the second they got there. Because nobody wanted to get rid of the guy that was funding the schools.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody wants to get rid of the guy that's funding the hospitals.
Would you?
You know what I mean? And it's that simple. That's why I would say he was easily the smartest drug dealer to ever have lived.
Was Al Capone
because he realized that the way to get people off the side of the government is to do the things the government does.
You want to know something I found out about Al Capone? You know why we had expiration dates on milk?
No.
It's because of him.
Really?
Yeah, his own. He had a family member to get sick from expired milk, so he did some. He went up to like the higher ups and he was like, "We need expiration dates on milk, so people won't get sick." That's why we had expiration dates on milk because Al Capone.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Did
man.
not know that.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Like if you really think about it, bro, like if you really look at it and stuff, those people do more for the people than the government does. Like for real, you in a bad situation and shit, right? You in the shit hole fucking neighborhood, right? You got this drug dealer. He was like, "Hey, your mom doing okay? You need some money? All right, I got you." Right? He's like, "I got you." You know what I mean? Cop comes by and say, "Hey, have you seen this person? Would you tell him?"
No.
Exactly, because that same person that's doing a crime also paid your mom's rent.
Right, and what is the crime? He's selling stuff to people who want to buy it.
Right. Listen,
You know
man.
what I mean?
Listen, man. I prefer drug. I prefer a bad deal to go to civil court than street court. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And that's exactly my point. Is it's like this is the thing that a lot of people don't realize about people who are anti-drug prohibition.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope this statement really starts to strike to some people who might have been on the other side of this. Like, it's not about being pro-drug. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about being for doing drugs.
Yeah.
Like, if you're for doing drugs, generally, you're a fucking idiot. Like, there's a couple of drugs, I guess you could say, aren't as harmful as others. But at the end of the day, it's not good to just spend your whole life doing drugs. Right? Mm-hmm. We can all admit that.
Yeah.
But the point of the matter is the
problem is not
the real problems don't come out of the quote unquote legalization of drugs so much as it comes from the enforcement of the illegalization of drugs. And some things
and the propaganda to me.
Well, just generally, like some things are less about like freedom of speech is a good example here, right?
Yeah.
Freedom of speech allows you to say all kinds of horrible things, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why you're allowed to say those horrible things is because the only way to enforce you not say those horrible things would be immoral.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the same thing with drugs, right? The only way to enforce drug laws is to be immoral.
It really
right?
is.
It's not to say that drugs are moral so they should be legal. It's to say that we cannot enforce drug laws in a moral way.
Let's put this in
Does that make sense?
Let's put this in a dad perspective, right? If you caught your kid doing some, let's say meth, right? God forbid. Let's hope that never happens. But let's say you find your kid doing meth or heroin, whatever, right? The worst thing you can do is say, "Fucking disappointment. Get the fuck out of my house." Alright? That's the worst. And it's not on the same level as that, but that's what we kind of do to them. Alright? Instead of if you really don't want people doing drugs, give them fucking help they need. Like, yo, straight up.
And Portugal did that. Portugal decriminalized all drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And they decriminalized all drugs, and instead of prison, they started giving people drug treatment.
Yeah.
And actually, like, have the lowest drug rates, like, of many places in the world.
Yeah,
and they used to have a huge problem with drugs in Portugal. Like, huge problem. So, like, that's kind of the thing, is it's not about, eliminating the drug problem. It's kind of like saying that we should, laws never eliminate a problem. They only, that's one
make
thing
different problems.
Right, that's something I've tried to explain to a lot of people. It's like, you don't make something illegal and then everybody just says, okay, I guess I'm not doing that anymore. Like, people break the law.
Yeah.
So, once it gets to that, what are you willing to do? It's kind of the same thing with anything that people want to mandate. It's like, what are you willing to do to make sure that, say, people take a vaccine? What are you willing to do? Are you willing to beat somebody? Are you willing to put them in prison? Are you willing to lock them in a cage? What are you willing to do? And it's like, when we're talking about child molesters and rapists and murderers, I'm with you when we're talking about locking them in a cage.
Yeah.
But somebody buying something that somebody wanted, that somebody sold to them, I don't really see why that warrants locking someone in a cage.
Bro.
And I mean the same thing with like sex stuff too. Like if you want to buy a prostitute, I don't get that one. Really doesn't make any sense.
Bro, I think that'll be our next episode.
That one really doesn't make any sense.
Bro, like
how is it illegal to sell something that's legal to give away?
I brought this up to someone, right? So you go up to a girl and you were like, "Yo, I want some of that," right? And she says no. And you say, "Hey, can I have some of that for $50?" And she says yes. That's prostitution, right? But I don't see anything wrong with it. Because in all reality, a lot of dudes already do it. Maybe not with money in general, but with something like maybe buying them a car.
Right, and that's exactly what you're saying. Like, there's almost an implicit deal in a lot of these things that we do in our dating rituals. Which, like I said, a lot of people feel like they get slighted. You know what I mean? Where a woman feels like a man should have picked up dinner, or a man feels like a woman should have put it down on him, or something like that. And it's like, a best way to avoid that is to go dating when you're actually looking for a partner, and to go to a damn prostitute when you're actually looking for sex.
Right.
And the only way to solve that
now,
would be to legalize prostitution.
Because now the line is so blurred and so confusing for a lot.
Right, because it has to be blurry. Because if it's explicit, if I say, hey, I want you to have sex with me and I'm going to buy you dinner, that's prostitution. Period. It's this for that. As long whenever there's a pure this for that comes out of it, it becomes prostitution.
God damn, how many times it's like, not thinking about it, like how many times I hooked up with a prostitute. God damn. And you put it in that context, it's like, dang, how many prostitutes I hooked up with?
Right.
Like,
and then the thing about it is,
you know how many times I just got dinner for someone and then we hooked up, hell, this took.
Well, I mean, if you split, no, I'm not saying that you got dinner and then you hooked up. I mean, more like you explicitly are like, hey, I'm trying to get some, and she's like, well, I'm hungry. And you're like, well, I'll buy you dinner. And she's like, okay, if that's the case, that's prostitution, dog.
Oh, I know.
That's straight prostitution.
When you put in that context, yeah,
Right, that's prostitution. It's this for that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I see nothing wrong with it. It's yours to sell. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Your body, your choice.
And let's be real, man. Going out and buying a hooker, very alpha, in my opinion. Very alpha, in my opinion. You want to know why?
Why?
It's going up to the girls like, here's $50, suck my dick.
No, I could understand why random girls would not want certain propositions like that. Mm-hmm. And I could see where, to me, that's kind of sexual harassment in certain circumstances.
Yeah.
But, if you have a brothel or something like that, it's kind of like a store versus a random guy on the street. If you walk up to a random guy on the street on a cell phone and you're like, hey, I want to buy that cell phone.
Yeah.
That could be seen as quite annoying and weird. Mm-hmm. And a million other things, right? But if you go to a store that sells cell phones and you go, hey, I want a cell phone, they're going to show you all the cell phones they got and you're going to pick one, right? So that's kind of what I'm saying is we can have an image of what prostitution in America would look like if it was legal by looking at Nevada. And look at Nevada.
It's kind
of all right the way they're doing it. You know what I mean? All the women involved are happy. They got panic buttons in the room if a guy gets crazy.
Yeah.
They got they got people outside the room waiting to beat the hell out of somebody who goes crazy.
Yeah.
They test them all the time. They force them to wear condoms. All of that stuff. Like it's all Gucci.
Yeah.
As safe as it could get for somebody doing that line of work.
Yeah.
A lot safer than doing that shit in Atlanta.
Bro, have you realized
you know what I mean? Like, criminality of things, criminalizing things a lot of times does bring a lot of danger that's unnecessary. And especially when you're talking about prostitution that's already a somewhat dangerous job.
Yeah.
That's not fair. Not cool.
Oh, yeah.
Guess me.
Bro, have you realized how many prostitutes we have around our area right now?
Oh, yeah, there's hella prostitutes.
Bro, it's like...
You go down, I'm not going to say the name,
but
there's a certain club.
You go near to the military base, man.
There's a certain club that is based off the sound that certain things that are produced at a certain military base near us make. And then it has herbs on the end. You know what I'm talking about? I don't want to name it on the middle of the podcast.
Yeah.
It's like in a shack, the strip club, in the middle of the country.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, every one of them strippers are fucking prostitutes. Like, for real, for real.
Mm-hmm.
Every last one of them. You could buy any of them if you want to.
I was talking about near our military base around here.
And that's what I'm saying. This is like... And I have no problem with that.
Yeah. It's like...
You know?
Definitely around there and shit. Like, yo, you might just need to bust one off, man. So you won't go crazy, man. Sometimes the dude just needs to bust his nut. That's why before... we need to end this out soon. You want to just give a piece of advice? I'm going to give a piece of advice. And you can say something afterwards. Before you make a hard decision, man. Before you make a decision...
You need that post-nut clarity.
You need to bust a nut, bro.
Post-nut clarity.
Hey, man, if you need be... Bust two, man. If you busting three, you're just doing it for fun. But, yo, you need that clarity, bro. There's plenty of times to save my life.
That's how all the science was found.
On God, bro.
Post-nut clarity.
Hey,
every guy had to get post-nut clarity.
Listen, man, they all nerds.
Now I can invent stuff.
They're all nerds, bro. They're already nerds and stuff, right? You know what I mean? Already nerds and stuff, right? And they, you know, they're like, damn, I just can't think straight, man. Give me a second.
Here's a good question.
That's how Tesla's made.
One last question before we end it.
What?
Who's making sure these nerds are breeding? I know they're weird, but we're going to need smart people in the future.
I mean, I'm
and if you're talking about natural selection, all these nerds are weird socially, so the women don't want them. If the women don't want them, then...
there's been a nerd upkeep lately and shit.
Is there?
Yeah,
okay,
like...
Make sure these nerds are breeding. That's all I'm saying.
Like, you know...
Make sure you're throwing a little bit to them, man. We got to make sure we keep smart people in the world.
But here's the thing, man. Like that's how I got my current girlfriend. She was like, you're such a nerdy person. And you're pretty smart. I'm like, really? I'm a dumbass. But... You know, she was like, "You're so nerdy, and I think that's adorable." And I got plenty of dates because I was nerdy. What the hell was that? I got plenty of dates because I was nerdy, right? But oh shit, is someone fighting outside? Hold up. But no, man. It's just I just had one thing though, man. I had rock hard abs. So I have a feeling it wasn't because I was a nerd, bro. That's
what I'm saying, bro. Like, it's not just because you're a nerd. You got other things. I'm nerdy as hell, too. I know a lot of random shit. Yeah, but, like, you can be a nerd and still be cool. But, like, I'm talking about them geeky-ass nerdy folks that, like, really into doing, like,
but here's
that
my
shit.
thing, though, bro. It was like, I don't know. Like, I'm not even trying to do some homo shit. Sus shit, right? But a lot of those dudes ain't that really bad looking, bro. They're just weird.
Right.
Like, in my opinion, it's like, they're just weird and awkward. Like, for real. It's like, one dude, he was a super nerd, right? Had long hair and everything and shit. He came back with a haircut. Bro, I almost turned full on gay, bro. That was...
Stupid. Oh, my gosh. I think that's the perfect time to end this podcast. Lord. Alright, you've been listening to Dad Influence with two Bromosexuals. I guess we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.